Dear Melissa, I work on the digital team of a big bank. So the product I work on is not really a product by itself. It depends a lot on the financial products the bank offers. I currently lead the onboarding accounts team in the wholesale B2B side of the business. I'm struggling a bit with setting the right North Star metric for the product because of this duality of financial product, the accounts, and the digital product counterpart. Hope you can shed some light. I love these types of questions because it's true. It can get a little complicated when you start to think about things that are not purely SaaS. And that's okay. But we can get to good metrics on what to measure. And this is where product strategy comes into play. And when you think about product strategy at an organization like a bank, it's not just about the digital products, it also has to intersect with your financial products as well. So that's okay. And it's going to be very intertwined. So, what you need to do is start to understand your flywheel of how your company makes money. So, as a company, what are the overall goals in your wholesale B2B side? So, if we're talking about banking, usually it's about those financial products, making more accounts, having more transactions, creating more loans, anything like that. And then, of course, you probably collect fees on top of those. So, you might have a goal with the onboarding and the accounts team to create more accounts fast. Your strategy has something to do with that. So, how can my software help us get more customers in so we can increase the amount of accounts that we have? And that can help us serve more customers, which allows us to collect more fees or have them do more transactions. And then that makes our bank run, right? That's our flywheel that we're looking at. Now, of course, there's always a cost factor that you can look at as well about how software can streamline that. But you want to make sure that it's tied back to the value that your customers are going to receive and that your bank is going to receive, right? That's what we're really looking at here. So what I would look at for you is saying, how does our onboarding, whether it's through software or, with people who are helping to onboard on the bank, how does that help our customers get into our product and start experiencing value faster? So you probably want to increase the number of accounts created and opened. Now you want to think about, how do you remove friction from that? How do you make it easy? So when I look at a North Star metric from the product side, if you're looking at the software, you probably want to reduce something like the time it takes to create an account. Maybe you are not doing a self-serve flow where somebody can just come in and open an account by themselves. Maybe that's something you want to look into, but maybe it's not. Maybe you have people transacting in the bank, like they have to come in and talk to a person. So you might think about, how do I make this experience so great that people can get started, open their accounts really easy, and have it be seamless, creating that software for my banking person to help them onboard. Or you might think about it as the person who, or the business that's going to be opening that bank account. How do I make it easy for them to actually do that? So you really want to get into, what does it take for somebody to open an account today? What are the frustrations? What are the pains? And what are the habits that would allow them to do this more seamlessly and to have a better experience? And then you want to set your North Star metric off of that. So it could be about reducing time for certain tasks or being able to do that. It could be about anything that really looks at giving them that first great experience. So when we talk about North Star metrics too, a lot of people like to just default to one. I don't like that. I like to create a system of metrics, because you don't want to just be having everybody come in to create an account and then having them churn, right? Let's say you do something in your software and it makes it so easy for people to create an account, like hundreds of them. They get in there and then they go, oh, this is not really what I wanted. So they churn. That's not good. So you're always going to want to have some kind of balance metric. I call them mutually destructive pairs. So some kind of system of metrics where maybe it's the number of accounts opened, but on the other side, it could be a retention metric. So anything that you're actually going after, you're not just trying to gamify it. That's what I would look at for that. So for you, I would study the flow of what your users are doing in onboarding, try to figure out where their frictions are, and then that becomes your initiatives and your product strategy to help reduce that. I would still say that your North Star metric is probably going to be something that is tied to that accounts, right? Number of accounts opened, number of satisfied customers, something like that. And that's okay. Now you're just thinking about, how does software contribute to that? What are the places that I can play to help make that metric better? So I hope that helps. You want to look at product as those leading indicators that signify those business outcomes. So what can you do to show that customers are having a good experience, that customers are completing their desired actions, which will result in that business value of making more money, reducing costs over time. That's your job, to figure out what part you control. I hope that helps. And if you have any more questions for me, please go to dearmelissa.com and let me know what they are.